Hey everybody, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to create a spreadsheet that you can export to use with RStudio Cloud. So far in this course, you've read a little bit about that, and I've had you upload a file, but I haven't had you create it yet. So I'm going to have you, I'm going to show you how to do that in this lesson, and that's what your homework is going to be. So you can do this in Excel, or you can do this in Google Sheets. I'm going to show you how to do this in Google Sheets simply because I think it's a little bit more complex that way. And if you can do it in Google Sheets, you can do it in Excel. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my Google Drive online. And here I have my Google Drive. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create a new Google Sheet. So I'm just going to click on that. And the first thing we have to do this is to give our spreadsheet a name. This is just an example, so I'm just going to call it Client X. And your client should, every client's going to need their own spreadsheet, the way things work with this. So you want to be able to save it to a location that you're going to use it in, because what I'm going to show you now, we're going to access later in the semester, and you're going to do this for your own client. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. I'm going to put it in our course here. This is my Google Drive, so I have a lot of stuff in here. And I'm just going to put it, I'm just going to put it here, move here. So it's going to tell me that it's there. And so for each variable you create, and you've seen this in previous videos, you need to, for each problem or aspect of the problem that you're measuring for a client, you're going to need two variables. So we're going to put that in these two, column A and column B. So I'm going to just make up a scenario here, and I've done a lot of work with kids in schools and with behavior. So I'm going to call this disruptive behavior. It's just disruptive behavior. Now you can put, in RStudio, you can call your variable anything you want, but the shorter you make it and the easier you make it, the less likely it is that you will make mistakes. So I'm just going to call this disrupt. Now, notice as I'm doing this, I'm using all lowercase letters. I could use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, but when I use this in RStudio, I'm going to have to specify that. So I'm just going to be very clear. I'm just going to use all lowercase letters. And just to be consistent, I'm going to call the phase variable for this P disrupt. So I'm going to put that here. And so this data that I'm going to put in now is that data that we collected during an assessment period where there was no intervention. So it might be that you go into a classroom 4 or 5 times, in a week preceding another meeting with the child or the child's parents, and you observe the child. So this is just made up data. So I'm going to say the first time we saw client X, she was disruptive 4 times. And this is all during baseline. And in single case designs, A denotes a pre-intervention phase. So before, you would do this during an assessment. So we're going to keep putting this A in here. And then you go in the next day and you see client X is disruptive 6 times. But again, it's just during the beginning of your work with them. So you collect data for 5 days because there's 5 school days. And again, I'm just making this up. And then on the last day, only 2 times. And what you do have to do, and I'm saying this here and you'll say it in another video at some later point, is that you have to separate the phases, so the pre-intervention phase and the intervention phase, with these 2 letters, NA. And it's got to be capital N, capital A, no slashes, just like this. And I'm glad I saved this because we'll use this throughout the semester. But in order to get this into RStudio, we're going to need to export this as a CSV file. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go Download, and we're going to CSV, the comma separated value. And we don't have to open it with anything. You can just save it. This will go into your downloads. So once I do that, I can get out of here, and I'm just going to go to RStudio Cloud. And I'm going to get into our class project here, which is going to take a moment. And here we had our work from last time. So I'm going to clear that out. This was a little bit of prep that I did for our class, so don't do this. I'm just clearing out my memory here. And this is going to be really helpful to you. I'm going to go to Files, and we're going to do two things. The first thing we're going to do is to use the script that we created last time. So I'm going to open this up, and our console will drop down, because this is exactly what we created last time, and we'll be able to use this again. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we need to upload the data that we just created. So I'm going to go to Upload, and I'm going to go to Browse, and Client X is now in my downloads. So I'm going to just, and it was already here, but you'll have to navigate to your downloads. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to go Open, and I'm going to go OK. And now I have Client X in here. So now I have my script, and this tells me really how to get started with my evaluation. So if I want to use the Get CSV to load and attach data for the session, all I have to do is click anywhere on row 2 and hit Run, and it's going to prompt me to choose a file. So I want this data file, and I'm going to go Open. And now I have this data in here. And if I click on the spreadsheet icon, I should see something very similar to what we created in our Google Sheets, and I do. This NA is grayed out. This is just going to be a blank row, which we'll need later on. So now we can actually use this because we know when we created that A/B plot last time, everything is correct in here in terms of formatting this command because it worked for Gloria. But I'm going to show you this now. If I hit Run, it's going to give me a problem. I have an error, and that's because my variables that it's looking for aren't here because that's not what's attached. Oh, which reminds me, we have to attach this file. So I'm going to go to this attach row and hit Run. And when you do that, the cursor you'll see automatically drops down to the next row. But if I run that again, I'm just going to get a different error or the same error. It just can't find the sleep object because it's not there. There is no sleep variable. Remember, our variable is called disrupt and p-disrupt. So here I have my behavior. I can just replace sleep, which was Gloria's behavior that we were looking at for her. And we'll just change this to disrupt, and p-sleep will change to p-disrupt. And now we're not working with sessions, we're working with days in school. So I'm going to put day, and the hours that we were looking at is sleep. That's going to be our y-axis, is just a count of how many times client X was disrupted. So we'll just put in count, and then our main label will be client X's disruptions. And hopefully we will get something useful out of this. So if I go hit Run, we have client X's disruptions. And if we would want to get some more information about that, we could change sleep to disrupt here and P sleep to P disrupt there. And we could hit run. And now we have more information about that disruption. So we see that there are 5 observations of the disruption variable. The average number of disruptions that this client had was 4, with a standard deviation of 1.58. So again, the reminder of that is each observation varies from the mean on average by 1.58. So that gives us a sense as to how dispersed the data are about the mean. And then the other thing that you'll want to see here is that our lowest value is 2, which we see at the bottom of our box plot, and 6 is the highest number. And so you know, this, when you look at this box plot, the middle line in the box, the dark line, it's not always the middle, but the dark line in the middle is the median value. So that's the middle 50, where the middle 50% is. And we see it's at 4. We also see it's at 4 here. So in this case, the mean and the median are the same. And then of course you can copy that image, you can save it. I'm going to show you how to save it here. Last time we copied it, but we can change this to put this in our graphs. We're going to choose that, and we can call this client X pre-intervention data. And if we hit view plot after saving and save, we'll get a pop-up of that box plot. And when we come back, by the way, when you go to files and graphs, you will see that that is here. Now it's in your graphs because that's where we put it. And you could download that for later use. So you could export it to, you know, wherever. You can put it in something else. Or you can copy it. It'll just make another copy of it. So this is it for today. I wanted to show you 2 things that you should take away from this. First is to how to create a Google Sheet with data in it so you can upload it into RStudio. And then the second is how to use the script that we created previously to rerun or modify your previous work in order to make it useful to you. So I hope you found this helpful and enjoyed this video.